another episode of Woodward's Watercolours. Now today it is raining again, but it is Northern Ireland, so that is what we expect. This is the beautiful Cavehill in Belfast. This is where I've lived for the past 10 years, and the view just on down, it's going to hopefully, you can see just through those trees there is the view into Belfast. But what we're going to draw today, or paint, or whatever you call it, make art today, is probably this scene here with the Derwent Inktense. I can't get the drone up because it's too wet and it's still raining, and it's really very cold, so I'm going to go and get into Bertie the Bongo, make myself a cup of something, and then we'll make a start together. So come on, let's draw the beautiful Cavehill together. This is what you look like most of the time in Northern Ireland in the winter, just so you know. Well, it's good to be in here, but unfortunately my gas looks like it is beginning to run out, so the kettle is taking forever to boil, and it's cold in here. Well, it's definitely warmer than it is out there. Right, so I wanted to show you this. So I've been making candles. This is just a Nutella jar and then some soy wax with a fragrance in it. And I've actually been making some to sell at a local market, which I just really enjoy. It's a bit of fun. So we'll get the candle lit, and hopefully that'll bring a little bit more warmth. The coffee that oh no! I've one more match left. Well, let's try and light it off this. There we go. At least we had some flame. I thought, oh no, this is terrible. My one match has decided to die. Alas. Okay, so we've got the candle lit. And today's coffee this is from the cruise ship. This is a Nescafe decaf, because I've already had my nice filter coffee this morning and I don't want to be getting too jumpy. So what I'm going to do is in about 3 hours, have warm water. Although I think actually what I'll do is just go with that, because at least it means I'll be able to drink it and get myself warmer. I've got my board from Hobbycraft. I've got my A3 350 GSM watercolor paper on it, and I've got my Derwent Inktense. So I'm going to go and get set up, print off an image from what we've just taken out there. Actually, just this time of year, you have to, it's really good to have a space that you can be in and be outside in, if you like, because you wouldn't want to be out there today drawing. It's so cold. So I'm going to go and get set up, going to get warmed up, and I'll see you in a minute, and you'll be seeing my page and what I'm going to draw today with the Derwent Inktense. Oh, perfect time for you to stop, pause the video, get yourself something to eat or drink, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, thanks everyone. Right, it sounds like the kettle is sort of starting to boil. Let me change I've learned from my lighting setup from the last video I did. So this is the original decaf. I really appreciate actually having these little just options. It's lovely to have options. And get that in there. And the next thing that I'm going to do, now some of you will be again utterly disgusted, but I really enjoy the milk being in there at this point. And then we're going to get the kettle that actually is surprisingly nearly boiled. It just took forever. And I have actually sourced new gas, which is tremendous. So that's my coffee made now, and we can get the rest set up. We're good to go. Need to do the thumbs up this way so you can see what. Stretch my arm right. Okay, so I've got my coffee. Actually, the kettle boiled, which was tremendous. I got my coffee. I'm going to keep it over to the left, actually. It's really nice. It's one of those milky coffee. It reminds me of whenever I was wee and at home, and Mum would have made me cups of coffee. And anyway, so I've actually, so here's the Inktense, and we've got the scene. So what we're going to do is select some of the colours. Now, this is spring green. I'm going to get out all of the greens, actually, because I think all of the greens have merit in this one. And we'll see, you know, I actually will just select all the greens. pull them all out. The sky, it's a Payne's grey sky, although I think actually what we'll go is storm cloud or storm dust. And I'm going to get the browns out too. So that's bark, although I'm confident that I have a bark that is not quite so run down. There's ink, no, that's ink black. Let's have a look. Burnt umber we definitely need. And we'll take some willow as well for this kind of growth here on this side, for those grasses. Now, is there anything to actually for those? Yes, gonna need, that's deep indigo is going to be helpful. We'll get out the olivine as well. There's a, I think that's madder. It is madder brown. It's funny getting to know all of these colors, you know. It definitely takes time. I'm trying to think what else now. I think we'll put in a bit of amber in there as well. And then what I like to do, as any of you who've watched me before know, is I just put this away because I've selected the colors, and I don't know if I have my sharpener with me, which I don't think I actually do. Oh, I do. Tremendous. Okay, so this is the best sharpener that I have ever had, and I'm always careful when I open it because sometimes if you open it in the wrong way, it'll the stuff will go everywhere. Now we're also sitting at a slight angle here, which adds a little bit of challenge to it. So while I was making my coffee, I managed to ring a local supplier of gas, and they actually have the gas canister that is the right size for the Bertie the Bongo. So I'm really pleased about that, and even though it is quite expensive, I think it is probably really, just as I noticed the gas has just gone off, so let's get that completely switched off there. That's us. That you need to stay warm, and if I'm going to do more of these videos, then I need to buy a new canister, so that will be the task after this today. Okay, so we've got the sharpening done. Again, Faber-Castell, it's about a £5, absolutely brilliant. Best sharpener I have ever used in my life, and I am 46, so gives you a wee bit of time. Okay, so I think the best thing to do is, in some ways I tend to pick, so I'm going to move this just up to that part there. Now, do I want to actually move it off? If I move this over here, is that going to be awkward? Because I want to really use, you know, that's actually going to be a better space there because you can see the dip. Okay, so let's start with the Ionian actually, and we're just going to start in the top left here, and we're just wanting to get this kind of shape of the kind of sloping shape. Now this actually is going to go, so the Ionian is 1320, and it's going to be a great color for this, using a mixture of the continuous line. And I get this kind of swoop in this area here. I love it when, you know, when you actually feel like you feel the landscape with your hands as you're drawing it. And maybe that's too touchy-feely language, but it does feel like that's sort of what you kind of do when you're drawing, you know, you're kind of feeling the thing out. So at this point I am getting in the basic, almost kind of structure of the place, and then we've got from here, really from here on in, then we can abandon the Ionian being the sole color that we're using. So remember, when you're working with, I actually do want to do something that's quite loose today as well, and it's cold because my gas has decided to die. But I think the gas is actually, the previous owner said that the gas, you know, it so rarely runs out, and I use this fan all the time, so it's going to lean in a bit more heavy with some of these tones here. And I like this kind of sporadic moving about the picture as I go, you know, it's not all, let's just finish one section and move to the other. I'm essentially tackling the thing as a whole, which is something that I really enjoy. Okay, so let me see, let's go for the leaf green next, because the leaf green is another beautiful, strong, earthy color, and I find that for me, it's one of my go-tos living in Northern Ireland, because it's the color of the landscape that surrounds me. So the other thing I'm going to do when I go home is do another larger piece on this, which I'll do off camera, because some things should be kept just for yourself. But this probably now, this image will become something that I'll do several times. And I want to highlight the permission that I think that you need to take to do that. When you look at artists throughout history, there were certain subject matters that they were nigh on obsessed with, and I think that it's part of it. Just noticing this line that goes across there, some of these kind of greens and things here. This is a nice, really lovely earthy green. And some of this is the printing. The printing has abstracted the colours, and some of it is actually how the colours are in the landscape. So with the Inktense, the thing that you need to remember is that you do not need to cover the entire thing, because actually there's so much pigment that you're going to be able to lift, you know. And I'm in the mood for something that's quicker and looser, and I know that you may go, Colin, you're quick on this all the time when it comes to the Inktense, but okay, so this is felt green. Now I want to see this one. Yeah, well, it's actually showing up more sort of down, so that's too vibrant for me. We'll abandon ship there. We don't need the bark just yet, so yes. Now this is the deep indigo, so some of this up here feels like it is just so bright, and a couple parts here. So the Impressionists used blues instead of blacks, so I don't see blacks here. I'm not opposed to black, but what I'm saying is let's get it in here in the mix, particularly for these darker areas. And the indigo is 1100. Do you find it helpful whenever I call out the pencil colors that I'm using? Is that something that actually adds to this, or is it something that detracts? Do let me know. So that again, field green, we're going to abandon. Now apple green, I'm going to bring in a little bit of this in this section down here. Get that over that section there. Now I have edited down the image actually a little bit as well, because I didn't want the kind of muddy stream that was happening there. And I want to take, this is the one I wanted to use loads of, spring green, because I think that actually there's a dominating, now the way that it feels like it's moving is this kind of direction. Now I have never, I don't think, used the spring green. Maybe I tested with it one time, but I can't quite remember. Need to get in some darks here, I notice, as I'm going. So I think that's a fell runner coming back. And some people enjoy running in the wilds in this kind of weather. Not me. This is where somebody will put a message on and say, you know, it's really, really good to be active. So well, that's all we're going to use of that for now. Okay, so other greens, what have we got? Light olive, beautiful. Love the light olive. So actually just gonna lean in that bit heavier. I actually think I need to go back to the Ionian, if I can find the Ionian. Where have you gone? There's beach green. It's not dark enough, I don't think. We need the Ionian. Yes, I found it again. So the Ionian 1320. I remember when I first got it thinking this colour is just, it's got that richness to it that you need with the landscapes here. I'm really going to need to put down, I think, some more pigment here because it's so dark. I'm going to lean heavier as well in some sections, because this area is the strongest and darkest, and will also be able to lift some of the pigment from this section as well. This scene really reminds me of, do you remember, I don't know whether you've seen the video or not, but when I went to the forest and there was the mist rolling in, it was quite mental really, just how, let's get some more of that in there as well. And then there was these darker sections here. Let's get on some browns. Okay, so we've got the Ionian. We've used, now light olive. Light olive is going to be a good one as well for some of these sections here that are going to be that little bit darker. Oh, it's really getting colder in here. And I can actually close my window now because I had the window open ever so slightly because I was concerned about the gas like going on and off, and that would not be a good scenario. So that was the method of the madness there. Okay, now let's go to some let's go to willow. Okay, so the willow is going to be mad for what we need here, but just using these just straight up and down lines. Again, this is the idea for me of like almost feeling the landscape in the movements, you know, very straight up and down. And I find it really enjoyable doing things like that. It's you know, leaning heavier in some parts than others. And this is not the only colour that we're going to use here. And then this is appearing just in this section here, and also just bringing it across here. There's so much element of faith whenever we're drawing, you know. You're wanting to convey something, and excuse me, the words "trust the process" I find really, really helpful. And I mean, yes, okay, I think that phrase can be, we've probably heard it too much and maybe been a bit burnt by it, but I think actually in terms of drawing it's incredibly helpful. Okay, so this is the beach green. I can't quite remember. Beach green's a bit like the Ionian. Yeah, it's actually going to be good for this section over here. And again, this section here is really quite full as well. Excuse me, I have a tickle on my throat there. Okay, right, and then we've got the bark. Now the bark, for these darker sections here, you can see how dark it is actually. And again, for some of those trees, you can hear the guy's music. I don't know what he's... Okay, so... Okay, I think we're nearly there with the pencil work. Okay, the other thing that we want is... So the madder brown, I used it recently with the more abstract one that I'd done of Galgorm River. I've noticed how much, you know, I draw the areas that are around me because they're the areas that are around me and they mean something to me. But actually, over time, that's quite profound. The more that you look at what, and so, sorry, again, varying this, like some of the lines are curling, so doing those kind of sweeping marks is very helpful as well. But sorry, back to what I was saying. You know, you draw the area that's around you. So the burnt umber is 1903, the madder brown was 1920. So the burnt umber is going to be lovely and rich, and let's get some of the burnt umber. So we're really layering up lots and lots of different colours in here. Just putting a little bit in this section here as well. Okay, and we're getting very near the end now. So the last thing I want to do is add in the amber before the sky. So I'm going to add in some of that amber. Now, in some of this, it's going to be remembering the pigments that you've put down. Just really holding the pencil slightly on its side so it's covering a nice area. Okay, and then I'm going to take some more of that field green, I think, in a second, or spring green, I think it was called. Let's try and lift it out here. So the amber, I didn't tell you what amber was. Amber was 1710. That's the apple green. Now, do we want maybe just a little bit of this again on its side for this? So you can see there's very much two stages to this with the Inktense. Now, again, I've had more people message me saying, do you know, I would never have thought to have used the Inktense like this, and feeling that there's some special way that it has to be used other than a pencil, whereas in my simplicity and childlikeness, I'm going, it's a pencil, I'm going to draw with it, and then we see what turns out. Okay, so the last thing then is the sky. So the sky, really, I'm going to hold it on its side for the storm dust, and I'm going to just bring that across here, maybe intensify it a bit more there. That's it, that's what we're going to do. Okay, so it's getting so cold in here so I want to keep moving. So I'm going to get myself organized for adding the water. I'm going to pack away the Inktense and so that I'm in the headspace to get the water going here. So 2 seconds and I shall be back. Another lovely part of the process, which many of you have seen me do before, is the adding of the stumpers. The adding of the stumpers is something I saw a guy do on Instagram in 2020. Boy, Instagram was a different place then. And he used it for Inktober, and he had stampers and used red. And it lit a fire in me. I thought, I absolutely love this. And very quickly I learned that it wasn't about trying to keep all of the letters in a nice line together. It just added something to it. It just gave a little bit of context. So it's actually oftentimes when I'm drawing and painting like this, it's quite an important part of the process for me. So I thought there could be some of you that are watching this for the first time and others going, this is what he does. But I have to focus when I'm doing the eye, because the eye is set slightly higher up than the rest of the letters. It's not mad at you. Familiarity, the more you do something. So this is Cavehill in Belfast in Northern Ireland. Okay, so that's the stampers done. Now, I think what I'm going to do is pick this big old chunky brush. This is a graduate brush by Rowney. It's a number 30. And the other thing that I'm going to do is pick all quite thick brushes. This is a flat, and it's another Rowney actually. This is one I inherited. So what I'm going to do first of all is let's tackle this sky together. So I'm going to give it a water. I'm just going to flop it down. So really, for the sky, what we're doing is activating what's there. And this brush is holding loads of water. So I could actually as well let that trace up into the sky, which I might do, I don't know. I really have found such freedom in that, letting things bleed a little bit, but in a kind of controlled manner. Now, trying to get the flick, it's just going everywhere in the van now, so we don't want that, that's not good. So really from this point on, I'm going to switch to the flat, and hopefully we'll see where this goes. So I'm going to start up here on the top left. And this is where you'll begin to see, hopefully these colours begin to mix somewhat as well, you know. And the thing about that's good about the flat edge is the angular, you know, what it brings to the table in terms of, so we're going to really want that to run all together a wee bit more than it is. So I'm going to clean that off so that we don't have the dominance of the Ionian green throughout, because the brush is going to lift the pigment and carry that through wherever it's going. So I want just, if you agitate just a little bit with a point nearly, and then you can drag that bit more there. So this section here, again, leaving bits of white through, because that's what I find that white actually really does add to the lightness of the scene, and light is so important to me, particularly as a Christian. It has loads of symbolic metaphors, and I want it present in my artwork. So we're just moving this down, okay, and this section I want to work together, okay. So the goal in this is to get this section to work together. So just straighten out the brush a little bit there, because it's going all kind of floppy. It feels like quite a natural haired brush, which I'm not a massive fan of. I far prefer the synthetic, because I'm just squeezing it off here so we can get, yeah, that's what I wanted. Just wanted to get a bit of a blob there, a blob of the colors. Okay, so then what we're going to do is, this section is really very different, and this is what I want for this section. Now, in the Inktense, you will find that the colors are intense and they're exceptionally luminous. So it can be, and I'm going to let these actually play about a little bit together at the top. There's a nice bit of dry brushing happening there. Just letting them play about a little bit together. And look at that madder brown. The madder brown is a bit crazy. Just a wee bit cray. Show me age. This is where my son would say to me, Dad, don't ever use that phrase again. Okay, so just activating, just being careful to do just in little sections here. And actually what's going to happen now, look, can you see how crazy green that one is? I mean, if we thought this top one was bad, then letting it really play about a bit more, okay? Have I got my liner? If I have the, yes I do. Actually that would be good to use here. And also, in the spirit of the splatter, let's get a little bit going there. There we go. Now again, it's going all over the place. Now there's some areas where the white, like this area here, it's too much. I really want them to, what I want them to do, I want them to play, you know, have bits of white in it, but not look like that I just completely forgot to, if it was, you know, like a child kind of colouring in a section or something like that. Now, the other thing that I really do, I am very tempted to do, is to let this happen. And this is this influence, you know, let's tie this up and let it bloom up through. Toby's worn me down over the years, so I'm just going to let that do that up there. Okay. And then we're going to pick the liner. And actually, I don't know. Let's see, can you rescue this? I'm sure you can. Just so it is ever so slight and not dominating the entire thing. So what we're doing here is the dab and grab. We are lifting, squeezing off the brush, and then it's not going to go. That's what I wanted. I didn't want it blooming right up and in. I wanted that kind of like nearly like smoke rising in the relevant colors. So it's tying it in together, but it's not, you know, it's not. Okay, there we go. Good. Okay, now we're going to go for the liner brush and we're going to see what we can do. Now, the liner brush, the thing I love about it is that it is really long and thin, obviously. And then what you can do is, now I'm going to need to use loads and loads of water here to get this to do what I want it to do. So again, picking up the pigment from different sections, and effectively then we are drawing with this again. And that means that that area, it's blooming a little too much for me in that corner, but we'll maybe speak to that in a second. We'll see. Maybe just let it happen. And this whole idea of experimentation, please experiment without fear of failure. I mean, my goodness, the main thing is the process. The outcome matters, yes, but you know, the process is something to enjoy and to, you know, maybe a year ago even, I would have found that really difficult. You know, something happening, taking a risk and doing something and not going exactly the way I want, maybe would have been something very, very difficult for me last year, or certainly 10, 20 years ago. But now I think, why not just experiment and play and get out there and, you know, do it, see where it takes you. The liner brush is lovely to use because it's bringing in that little bit of, feels like warranted detail, doesn't it? Feels like, yeah, it's legitimate to bring that in together. Now, the other thing I had thought was, which I don't often do, so we're doing lots of things that I wouldn't often do, is to go back in with the Ionian, if I can find it. You'll find it pretty quickly. And just redefine. Just Just redefining the lines. They're important now. These wet lines are going to be very different to the other lines that we're making. There we go. Yeah, quite happy with that. Now, I don't love using the pencils in that way, but actually, in terms of effectively rescuing the line, I'm more than happy to do that. And I think, you know, demonstrating and showing all of those different techniques, and for me, the pencil marks are actually an important part of the thing. So therefore, I value those and try to keep those in. And I love that the pencil roll goes down to that. So there you have Cavehill. Oh, you can't really see it. There was me trying to be all dramatic and artsy. There's the scene, and there's the painting. Well, what did you think? What did you think about the minute whenever I dragged the wet brush across the top of the trees? Did you think, oh no, what's he done? Or did you think, oh, look at him experiment? Or, you know, for me, I don't know. I'm not sure. Jury's out. I needed to dry to be able to look at it and think, okay, was that a good choice? But it's a choice. It's not the end of the world. And what I have found as an artist all my life, typically it's been, oh, that's terrible, I'm a terrible artist, this hasn't worked. When actually, I agree with Picasso, the work that needs to be done, also with Jesus, that the work that needs to be done is to become more childlike. Just play, just experiment. It doesn't define your life. That's the lesson that I'm learning. So go and play, go and experiment. And I have a treat for you, because actually the rain has stopped, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to send the drone up and I'm going to show you this area just as the outro. Thanks as always for watching. I really hope that you're finding benefit with these videos, and somehow it gives you permission to go out and explore and play and paint. And I am confident that the way I do it doesn't work for everybody. And you maybe don't even like it. But if you come away thinking, I'm going to go and play, then go and play and have fun. For more information about me, as always, head to woodwardswatercolours.co.uk. That's my website, and you'll find out lots of information there. I also have an Etsy store if you would like to own some of my artwork for your wall. That would be tremendous. No pressure though. And also there's a membership there. It's about supporting me and paying for things like gas. But gas as in gas that I heat my water off, not gas as in gas in America, because we call that petrol. And it's all this thing about the trunk and the boot and the sidewalk and the pavement and chips and crisps. Anyway, membership's there if you're interested. If you're not, just thanks for stopping by. So what I'm going to do is send the drone up, and I will see you sometime soon in the next episode of Woodward's Watercolours. Thanks so much for being here with me, and I will see you in the next episode, hopefully in a warmer setting and a warmer van with gas sometime very soon. Bye!